Today I'm bringing guys a brand new sports cards video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys some probably mind-boggling information about cards that could potentially make you guys sell a lot of your cards. This video is not intended to insert panic into people's minds. It is simply to kind of show you guys the brutal truth about the prices of a lot of cards right now and where I see them going. Now, before we get into that, I did want to say, as the theme in this video, I am giving away a Magic Johnson PSA 9 1981 Topps, one of his solo rookie cards, for this week's giveaway. So if you would like to enter in, all you have to do is subscribe, comment the word done, and like this video. 3 easy steps for around $170 card that will be given away at the end of this week, announced on my Instagram at SportsCardInvest. Now, without further ado, we're going to hop right into this video. So what I really wanted to touch on in this video is the absurd price differences between modern and vintage. Now, one key example that I wanted to bring up is going to be Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley is, a young, talented, player on the Cavs. I'm not going to go too much further because he hasn't done much in the NBA. But as you guys can see here, we have his National Treasures rookie patch autograph, probably his most important, most sought after card. And we see in a PSA 9, it's going for around $10,000. A PSA 10 is going for $17,000. At least that's what the value is. One hasn't sold in quite a while, but one would likely sell for around $10,000 to $15,000 at the bare minimum in today's market. Now, me personally, I'm a buyer for a lot of young players for the short term. But what really panics me is when people tell me that they're planning on holding cards like Evan Mobley's National Treasures for the long term and think in 10, 20 years that these cards are going to pan out. I pulled up right here the price of Tim Duncan's most important card, commonly known as a top 10 player of all time, one of the best power forwards of all time. He is a Pop 107 in his PSA 10 most important rookie card. And this card last sold for $5,900. And keep in mind, this is likely not even a fair comparison because Evan Mobley has many rookie cards to choose from. So his National Treasures is just one of his main rookie cards. Whereas for Tim Duncan, this is his most investable rookie card. This is his most important rookie card, and likely if you're investing in Tim Duncan, all your attention is going towards this Tim Duncan Topps Chrome Refractor. And that card right there is $6,000. And if you're looking at a lot of other Evan Mobley cards, you're going to see that they're priced well above $10,000 for his most important rookie cards. Now, in the long term, even if Evan Mobley ends up becoming a top 10 player of all time, if you are holding this card for 20 years and hoping that your money is going to be in good use, that is simply not going to be the case, because even if he ends up having a career like Tim Duncan, you're going to likely see his prices stay the same, if not even go down. So this is something I really want you guys to keep in mind. I personally am not opposed to buying these cards because if Evan Mobley does have an outstanding year, next year this card could be a $30,000 to $40,000 card. I am totally not denying that. We saw recently with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's National Treasures out of 5. This card went up by around 5 times in the span of 2 months. So I'm not doubting, the short-term game, and I'm truly into the short-term game as well. I'm a person who does invest in a lot of these players. However, I'm not planning on holding them for the long term. This card right here on PWCC just sold for $87,000 over this last week. On Thursday, this card sold, I believe it's the same. It's out of 5 National Treasures for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, his RPA. That card right there sold for $87,000. And it was a $14,000 card just around 2 months ago. So I'm not doubting that there are going to be a lot of short-term opportunities in guys like Evan Mobley. That is not what this video is about, but this video is simply pointing out that for a lot of people who message me, and I get on calls with a lot of people, And they're telling me that, I'm planning on holding guys like Evan Mobley, LaMelo Ball, and I'm simply making a caution video just because I don't want you guys to be holding this card for 20 years to realize that if he doesn't end up being a Tim Duncan, you're going to lose money on that card. And this is a top 10 player of all time. Keep in mind. And Evan Mobley is a second-year player who has had a good career so far, but nowhere close to 5 championships like Tim Duncan. Now, another, example I wanted to bring up is going to be LaMelo Ball. As you guys can see right here, his PSA 10 National Treasures is estimated to be worth between $40,000 and $50,000. A PSA 9 in July sold for $30,000. A PSA 8 as much as $18,000. So there's a lot of big sales on LaMelo Ball National Treasures, which is his most important rookie card. But if we're looking for one of the most important cards of Magic Johnson that actually features Larry Bird as well, a PSA 9 of this card is going for around $16,000. And this is one of the most important cards in the sports card market. So what I'm essentially trying to show you guys is the absolute skewed numbers of how much a lot of these hyped players that are just coming into the league are selling for. Now, I don't doubt if LaMelo has a good season. Like I said, this card could see great appreciation. But if you're planning on holding this card for 20 years, unless LaMelo Ball is Magic Johnson, and even if he is Magic Johnson and ends up being a top 2 point guard of all time, his prices will likely still not go up that much because essentially the prices you're paying today are baked in for his absolute best potential in the future. People who are buying this card are likely people who believe LaMelo Ball is going to be Magic Johnson. So that is why the prices currently reflect as if he's already Magic Johnson. And if he falls short of that, the prices are going to go down because the expectations are too high because of the hype into his card market right now. So I truly caution you guys. I'm not trying to cause a panic here, but I just don't want to see a lot of people lose a lot of money in the future on these cards because, at the end of the day, I do believe a lot of these cards like Magic Johnson right here are going to see a lot of long-term potential, are going to see a long-term growth. So this card in the future could be a 6-figure card, and maybe LaMelo Ball does have a place to have a $15,000, $20,000 card. But at the moment, I would much rather invest into a Magic Johnson safe card that I know is going to have a lot of demand in the long term as opposed to trying to bet on LaMelo and hold for the long term. However, in the short term, a LaMelo Ball has a lot more potential than a Magic Johnson card. Now, another key example, one last key example, is a Trae Young National Treasures RPA that in a PSA 10 last sold for $105,000. Now, if we're looking at Isaiah Thomas, who is arguably a top 3 point guard of all time, his most important card with the pop 192 in a PSA 10 is selling for $2,500. So we just see the staggering numbers here. Even Steph Curry, who's arguably a top 10 player of all time, his most important rookie card with the pop 28 last sold for $84,000. So still less than Trae Young's National Treasures. So I just really want to make this kind of a point where I know in the hobby there's a lot of love for speculating. It's super fun to watch your player play and have a great game. But at the end of the day, if you're planning on holding these for the long term, I would personally strongly recommend against it. I know there's a lot of people who believe in a lot of young players, but you got to ask yourself, if he does end up being a Steph Curry, if Trae Young does end up, having a career like Steph Curry, which, by the way, statistically is incredibly unlikely, where's the upside if you're buying into his prices at such high expectation, which, people buying for the future and, essentially baking in the potential into the current prices. So it's just a video, I wanted to get this off my chest. I hope that you guys took something out of this video. Not necessarily trying to make you guys panic buy or panic sell, but I do personally see a lot of, demand shifting back to vintage cards, as we saw in 2020 when everyone was buying up Zion cards, Trae Young cards, and Luka cards, and we saw all these prices go so crazy. And shortly after that, we saw a boom in prices for, vintage cards. If you guys remember in beginning of 2021, we saw vintage cards like Isaiah Thomas, Tim Duncan, and a lot of other, all-time greats really skyrocket in price. So after a lot of growth for, I would say modern players, you could potentially see a shift in demand to vintage because stuff like this can become super undervalued after a LaMelo Ball card sells for $30,000. I truly believe that, a lot of demand in the long term is going to go towards guys like Magic Johnson, Tim Duncan, Isaiah Thomas, even Steph Curry. And what I personally love is to balance in between modern and vintage. So guys like Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, guys who have already won so much championships, so they don't have, a lot of downside, but at the end of the day, they have a lot of upside because they're still playing. So that is personally my favorite way to invest, but I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. Once again, if you would like a free chance at a Magic Johnson solo rookie card and a PSA 9, all you have to do is subscribe, comment the word done, and like this video. Other than that, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'm out. Peace.